Cutters, Degrassi, unpopular opinions. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter. I'm going to welcome you to another Degrassi unpopular opinion / hot take. And this one is about good old Shane and all that, especially the episode Father Figure in season 3. A little background of Shane before we get to know what's in season 3. Shane and Spike hooked up at a party. Shane gets Spike pregnant. Shane basically spends the time trying to hide his pregnancy, the fact that he impregnated a girl and all that from his parents. But basically, Shane tells his parents everything. And so they decide to have a meeting between Shane's parents and Spike's parents at a restaurant. Basically, Shane's parents, we learned that his dad's a minister and all that. He has 2 older brothers and all that. Basically, the minister tells them that basically they're not opposed to Spike getting an abortion, but it's too late to get an abortion. Basically, that said that Spike can have the kid, and basically put up for adoption and all that. And basically, the minister also tells the family that basically Shane will be going to a boarding school and you will never have to deal with him ever again. Shane's not too pleased with that. But his father says, it's what's best for you. And Shane basically says, no, it's what's best for you because, I'm not like Carl or the other brother. And basically, you just want to get rid of me because I'm not like them at all. And you're only doing this also because of having learned about being pregnant a girl, the shame, and basically how mom can't go to Burge anymore, and that basically they get the fingers pointed at you. Let me try to take care of the kid. It's my responsibility, And he manages to do that. Unfortunately, Spike wouldn't let Emma anywhere near Shane. But, of course, when the babysitter for Emma actually had a family emergency, she had to bring Emma to the school. And basically everyone went around her. And basically Shane wanted to go near Emma. And Spike reluctantly let him do it. So basically, yeah. And then Shane basically wants to do his best. He gives his allowance to Spike to deal with the kid. But unfortunately, the one time he decides not to do it, he decides to get concert tickets, and Spike is really pissed off. Who can blame her? So basically, Shane takes some acid, and then we hear he fell off a bridge somehow. And basically, Tim, his friend or whatever, is being questioned by the police and all that. Shane does pop up again in the end of Degrassi Junior High in a walker and all that. It's revealed that he goes to a school for special kids with brain injuries and all that. Thankfully, Shane survives, in a sense. Shane gets one mention in Degrassi High, but basically he lashes out at people. And then we don't hear anything about him until season 3's father figure. In that episode, Emma's ready to welcome a brand new brother or sister to the world and all that after convincing Spike and Snake to have the kid, not to abort the kid. Emma feels happy. Emma does all she can to help her mom out. Her mom puts them through serious drills, but it keeps getting better and better. Unfortunately, Emma feels peeved off, mostly when Hatzalakos, her homeroom teacher in season 3, calls her Emma Simpson. But Emma says it's Emma Nelson. And Hatzalakos says, well, that's what's on the sheet of paper. Hello, feminism. And then she's mad at Snake, saying, did you have him change my last name? And Snake goes, I'm sure it was a mistake, and the secretary knew that you were my stepdaughter and thought you took my last name, but you didn't take my last name. And then she's like, well, I just want to know about my father. After all, I'm going to have a new baby sibling in the world. But Spike is of no help, basically says that you're not going to find out about Shane. End of story. Emma realized this story to, I think, Manny, or I don't know who she realized it to, but basically says that she thought her father was a doctor when she was 3 and basically went there. And so basically, yeah. So anyway, so she tries to find her father. that's the type of father figure, and basically goes through Snake's old stuff. Well, she goes through an internet search and finds a Dr. Shane McKay, but he's not, but he's black, and she knows her dad wasn't black. So anyway, she decides to go through Snake's old alumni stuff. She tries to talk to Caitlin, but Caitlin refuses to talk about it, mostly because I think Spike does not want Caitlin to tell Emma the truth about everything. So anyway, Caitlin basically is no help, so Emma goes through the alumni shit. And then we soon find out that she found a Shane McCain in Stouffville. She convinces Craig to skip class with her to go to Stouffville and find her father. But then she finds somebody who was obsessively turning a plane and all that, who was mentally challenged in a sense. And that was Shane McKay, played by Jonathan Torrance. His role actually won a Gemini, or a Canadian Emmy, if you will. Yeah, Emmys are for TV, right? Yep. So anyway, so Emma is not so sure how she could take a father who was mentally challenged and all that. And she's like, this isn't the memory I wanted. But in the meantime, after Craig snaps a picture of them and they basically talk to each other and all that, and Emma leaves and gives the contact information to Shane. We don't know. So anyway, they decide to go to Stouffville train station, but they're late for the last bus train to Toronto. So Craig calls Joey up, and Joey is not too pleased about picking them up. But then his facial expression changes when Emma tells him that she's trying to find her dad, and he looks concerned. So basically, what ends up happening is that Spike flips out at Emma, and Emma says, "Why did you put him in this place?" "I didn't. His parents did." "Why didn't you do anything?" "I was 14. I didn't have power." Snake tells her to calm down, but she basically says, "You're not my father." So basically, yeah, all this issues going on wrong. But the next day, Snake, to his credit, decides to talk to Emma outside of class and basically tells Emma the whole story about Spike. Like, there's a reason why Spike didn't tell Emma about this issue. Basically, he realized the story how Shane fell off a bridge one day. And they don't know if he jumped or he just fell off. Maybe under the acid. I think he fell off accidentally. But anyway, basically, that his parents put him in the place to get rid of him, in a sense. And basically, she wasn't sure how Emma was going to take the news about what her father really was. So basically, yeah, he tells Emma that, you could be mad at Spike all you want, your mom all you want, but she wants you to know that you feel for her. And then Emma realizes that the hospital wasn't because of the doctor, he was a patient at a mental health facility. Yikesies. So basically, she decides to apologize to Spike. But at the same time, Shane ends up coming to Spike, and basically Shane flips out over everything because she's with Snake, not him. But anyway, Emma calms Shane down and basically tells him that if you hurt my mom, I'll never speak to you ever again. And then basically they calm down. Shane actually knits something for Spike, and the person takes Shane home. And someone did a Reddit post saying that how they made Shane a villain and all that. It's crazy how they make good in part one of father figure, but part two they make Emma's father a villain. It sure seemed like it. So basically, Livian Gray did a good response that I like. It says, the most they suggested right after the accident was Shane couldn't control what he said or his reactions and emotions. He wasn't really acting out. I don't know much about brain injuries, but he could have got more agitated and all that. And he could have been progressively worse, and no one took responsibility. And basically, his parents disowned him. Spike was mean to him right away, but she didn't have that much of a right to fully vilify him. He gave her money without legal proceedings and forcing him to, right up until he took drugs. He took an interest in Emma and was still trying to be her father anyway. He wasn't the worst guy in the school. Luke was a bigger jerk. Shane was neutral. Painting him as violent was to make Snake look like the better dad, and he still screwed up and cheated on Spike anyhow. So anyway, I posted something that a lot of people don't know the struggles of someone who has had a brain injury and or is in one of the protective homes that is hard to get out of. Shane was reacting like that because in his mind, he and Spike were meant to be together, and seeing pictures of her and Snake together, he snapped. And to the person who said that Emma disowned her dad and went to Snake, two things. One, that's a valid point because Snake at least explained the whole Shane situation to Emma when Spike refused to. And two, Emma was upset that Shane tried to harm her mom. What was she supposed to do? So in hindsight, it seemed like things looked a lot terrible, but in the end, you got to realize that, like Shane was in the wrong in a sense to attack somebody, especially a pregnant woman, and then she ends up getting so scared she goes into labor. But thankfully, Jack is born happy and healthy and all that. Spike did apologize to Emma for everything, but Emma was cool with it, saying that she knew her mother had a lot of issues, but it's all good in the hood. Thank goodness for that. So what you got is basically, yeah, Shane being a villain. And the worst part is after that episode, we don't really get to know much about Shane or anything. They just basically shoot on him in season 3 and basically left him to our active imaginations. Did Emma ever make contact with Shane? Maybe she did, and we didn't hear that in the show. But geez, I mean, all that. Maybe Emma was upset with Shane trying to hurt her mom, so she basically thought that Snake would be a better father figure. But who knows? But to me, my hot take on this, well, the hot take is basically him being filled. It's like brain injuries can ruin people's lives and all that. There are tons of people who have brain injuries and all that. Heck, there's a hospice close to where I live that deals with people with brain injuries or severe mental problems or R blankation. Obviously, if you know me, I don't say the R word because I've been called the R word many times in my childhood, and I don't think that would be proper of me to say that word. It's basically fire. It's the same thing as fire blank and all that. I refuse to say that word. People say that word, that's fine by me, but not in my presence. But anyway, yeah. So, and this is 2003, so people don't really know much about people with brain injuries. I think awareness has gone up a bit in the 17 years past, but honestly. So, yeah. I don't think Shane was a villain. Shane was a tragic figure that basically they just wanted to tie the loose ends around. And, it actually brought closure, I guess, to Spike and Snake's characters in a sense. At least Snake was calm about the issues. I know Emma blew off at him, but Snake knew that Emma needed to know the whole story. And I mean, I wish that someone told Emma the story because maybe Emma disowns Shane before meeting him. But in the end, it just was kind of rubbish if you ask me. So anyway, thanks for watching this hot take, and we'll see you later.